So for number 2, it's given us 9 data points, and it is already given us a correlation coefficient of 0.71. And so that's what the original correlation coefficient is. And then the ordered pairs that it gives me, it's saying, okay, I'm going to add a 10th point, and then I'm going to see what does that do to my original correlation. So I'm looking for things like, would it weaken it? Would it strengthen it? Would it cause the entire thing to be negative? Or would it stay about the same? So the best way to go about this is to try plotting the points and then seeing what it's going to do to my data. So let's look at the first two, because those two are actually in or within my data set. So I'm going to plot 3, 7, and I'm going to plot 2, 6. And both of those, since they're within my data, they're not going to do a lot to my correlation. So it's probably going to be between one of these two and which one goes with which. Since 2, 6 is smack dab in the middle of my data, it's like the averages of the x's and the y's, it's in the very, very middle, I would say that that's going to go with the 0.71 because it's in the very middle. It's not changing anything about my data. And the 3, 7, it is on the outside. It's not giving me more data. It's not entirely lengthening it, but it is strengthening it just a little bit. So I would say that 0.73 is going to be with A because it's on the outer edge. So it's going to strengthen it just a little bit. The next 3, if we plotted those, would be at 10, 0. So let's say here, 10, 6. Here, and then 10, 14 here. And so if I were to draw a line through, or a line of best fit, I would say that this top one definitely strengthens it because it's now continuing the pattern that was already there. If I have it in the middle, it'll definitely weaken. And then if I throw a curveball and put something at the bottom, that's probably going to cause it to be negative. So the only correlation coefficient that is strengthened and it's still positive will be the 0.96. So that's going to go with the 10, 14. These two are weakened. And then these two cause it to be negative. So I don't know from here which one is which. So let's continue on and plot the last two. So F and G. If I plotted those, 100 would be all the way out here. 100, 0, 100, 6. This would definitely weaken. And this would also make it negative. So looking at my data, both of these weaken. The one that's the furthest out is going to be make it the most weak. So then that would mean that the 100, 6 would be with the 0.02. And the 10, 6 would be the 0.2. And then in regards to the ones that cause it to be negative, the one that'll be the most negative, the negative 0.84, would be the 100, 0, and then the 10, 0. So in a question like this, I'm not going to give you anything this specific. And if you technically did type it in your calculator and calculate it, that wouldn't be wrong either. You could just add in these data points just to kind of see what happens. But it definitely, knowing the concept of when something is strengthened versus weakened is going to be important. So I hope that this helped.